How y'all doing today? Man, look at that big bright sun. Looks good. It feels good. I haven't got a whole lot of sun in the past winter or whatever. You know, it's too cold outside to get any sun. But anyway, I'm out here in the sun today. So, you could tell by the title of this video, I used to be addicted to nicotine. I used to dip snuff. I did for 10 years. I started when I was 14 and I quit when I was 24. So, that's quite a while. And really, your developmental years, your adolescent years, that's when a lot of, who you are becomes crystallized and entrenched. So, how did I beat it? It's not an easy thing to beat it at all. If you're addicted to any form of nicotine, whether it's vape or, you smoke cigarettes or you dip, chew, or you do Zen pouches, whatever. Yeah, it's very addictive. And when you're without it, it's kind of almost like being hungry. That's how I describe it. Like the feeling of having a severe craving. It's like you're hungering for it, like your body needs it to function, right? So how did I beat it? When so many other people who have started, especially at that young age, couldn't beat it, Well, the way I beat it was, there's a few things that happened for me to beat it. It's not a one answer, really. It's complicated. I realized, and this is the first step, you realize that you need to change, that there's urgency about it. For a long time, when I was doing it those 10 years, I knew it was wrong, obviously. I made excuses about it. But like we all know that it's, don't kid yourself. Nicotine's not good for you. It's a waste of money. You're throwing money in the trash. If you vape or whatever, that you're hurting your lungs, you're hurting your body. That. So I recognized that it was a problem. I hit a point in my life where I felt like I was kind of at rock bottom. I got out of a long relationship that ended, and I had grown distant from most of my friends for various reasons. So I realized that I had to make, some changes or whatever. That for whatever reason that egged me on to fix some things in my life. So I decided I was going to quit snuff, and also I realized how much I was doing it. It's a bottomless pit, man. Nicotine addiction, any kind of addiction, it's a bottomless pit. Like you feed it, it's not satisfying anymore. You feed it more, you're going through more vape juice, or going through more snuff or whatever, more Zen pouches, and you're not getting any further ahead. You have to keep on doing more and more to be satisfied. And you see how unsustainable that is. The biggest thing that got me to quit really was, I didn't like I said, I was kind of at a rock bottom moment in my life, and I didn't like where I was in life. So one thing I learned was if you want to get ahead in life or create a better life, it requires you to make a lot of sacrifices. You have to work harder, toward whatever your goal is. Whoever you are watching this, you might not be just like me. You might not have the same exact goals that I have, but you probably have some goals, of some sort. Maybe you want to start a business. Maybe you want to get in shape. Maybe you want to start a band. I don't know. Maybe you want to start a YouTube channel. Maybe you want to elevate your career. Whatever it is, you got to have goals. So what I realized in my case was, to achieve any goal, it doesn't matter what it is. In my case, it was fitness and business, setting myself better financially. In order to do that, I have to overcome my immediate desires, because you're not always going to want to work. You're not always going to want to go to the gym when you don't want to, in the moment you don't want to. Well, I realized that if I could quit using nicotine, which was like so hard, I realized that if I could beat that, if I could have self-control in that area, then that would help me have self-control and discipline in other areas of life as well. So once I realized that, I knew I had to quit, because the mindset that I adopted was, I'm training myself to give in to instant gratification. I'm training myself to obey my whims. And if you nothing you do is in a vacuum. If you want to get in shape, or if you want to elevate your business, your career, whatever the case may be, all those things, all the things in life that you want, require discipline and self-control, or else it will not happen. Because you've lived up to this point, you've been living your life, doing the opposite. You've been living your life obeying your feelings, obeying your whims. That's what we're taught to do in society today. The whole concept of discipline is completely lost in today's world. If you feel a certain way, your feelings are supposed to be 100% valid, and you're supposed to obey them. But that's actually not how it works. People seek motivation, like you have to have a certain feeling before you can do a certain thing, but that's not how it works. So up to this point, your whole life, if you wanted the junk food, you ate it. If you wanted the nicotine, you hit the vape, whatever. You obeyed your feelings all the time. And look at where that's got you. If you felt like watching YouTube all day long, instead of working on whatever your big goals are, instead of going to the gym, whatever, that's not working for you. You've got to have discipline. So if you consistently don't apply discipline and you indulge instead, then you reinforce that habit throughout your life. Remember, Aristotle said excellence is not an act but a habit. So you have made the habit of obeying your whims. So the first step really is, you got to be able to tie quitting nicotine. You got to have a good reason why. You got to be able to tie quitting nicotine with whatever your ultimate goals are. For me, like I said, I was trying to get in better shape and trying to put in more hours at work and make more money and buy this house that I wanted to buy and finance remodeling this house. So I was able to tie, okay, if I quit snuff, then that will help me to be more disciplined in other areas of life and have success in other areas of life. And that's true. That's 100% true. And that has been correct. Since I've quit snuff, since I've applied more discipline in other areas of my life, I don't skip out on the gym. I make it to the gym. I don't cheat on my meals like I used to as much. I eat a whole lot cleaner. I put in a whole lot more hours doing things that are going to benefit me in the future, rather than just pissing time away, not doing anything. So you need to understand that if you cannot beat your desire to hit your little vape or whatever, or put them Zen pouches in your mouth or whatever, if you cannot control yourself in that area, then you cannot control yourself in any area. So that's the first step. And then the second thing I would say is it does take time. I don't believe that you're going to quit automatically. I don't think you're going to quit cold turkey. I don't think that works for most people. That didn't work for me. I didn't quit cold turkey. You have to, you know, if you've done nicotine for any length of time, which you probably have, you've probably done it like me for like 5 or 10 years. You're probably about my age. I'm 25 now. But you're probably about my age, and you've probably done the same thing. You've done vapes for maybe 10 years, 5 years, whatever. You have reinforced that habit of using nicotine for a long time. So it's going to take a long time to weaken that habit. If you try to quit cold turkey, it's just not going to work. You're going to feel super overwhelmed. I'd say wean yourself off of it. Like, I'll give you an example of me. When I was dipping snuff, at my peak, my worst point, I was doing 1.5 cans a day, and that's when I decided I needed to quit. So instead of 1.5 cans a day, I went to like 1 can a day. I had set times where I would take a dip and I'd space it out further, right? And you can do the same thing. Eventually, I got to the point where I wasn't even buying snuff by the can anymore. Like, people I worked with always had snuff, so I would just like pay them like $1 here or there to buy some bum off of them. So eventually I got to maybe I would take 2 dips a day and then 1 dip a day. And the thing that finally got me to quit was accountability. When I got to the point where I was only dipping once a day or maybe once every other day, I had a family member who I confided in, and I told him, look, I'm gonna quit snuff. I'm gonna be done with it. You know, I've weaned myself off of it for several months now, close to a year. I can be done with it. I'm gonna be done with it. And in my mind, like, if you have someone that's keeping you accountable, whether it's a real friend or a good family member, then that is what will help you quit the rest of the way. That is such an effective strategy for helping. It's like, what does the Bible say? Confess your sins. And that's what you need to do. Tell people, tell someone you trust. Be like, look, I'm going to quit this. You know, I promise to you that I'm going to quit this. And then if you don't, if you go back on your word, then you will, you're going to feel bad about that. So that just adds a layer of accountability so you don't feel like doing it. Because now if you do it, I'll feel bad because I lied. I didn't keep my word. So that's what that was the nail in the coffin that finally stopped it for me, was having that accountability with that family member and telling them, look, I'm not going to do it anymore. I promise to you that I won't. And since then, I may have taken 3 or 4 dips, maybe since then. I've been done with it. And I don't do nicotine, and I don't really feel the desire for it very often. Sometimes it flares up, but not really. I have, as I was accustomed and in the habit of needing nicotine, now I'm accustomed in the habit of not needing it. So that's my advice, and obviously I could go way deeper with this, but that's just some basic surface level advice for quitting nicotine. Thank you.